Yo, what's going on, guys? Swiftneck, and I'm back with yet another schedule preview. So there's a lot of hype surrounding the team that I'm doing today, and the Nebraska Cornhuskers. So they have a new coach in Scott Frost. Well, not necessarily new. He's going into his second season, but fairly new. In his first season, they got off to an extremely rough start. Then they started to piece everything together by the end of the year and really showed flashes of being good this year. So am I buying into the hype? Is Adrian Martinez as good as a lot of people say he is? And is Scott Frost an overrated or even underrated coach? I'm looking forward to find out. Let's take a deep dive into the Nebraska schedule. So they start off the year against South Alabama. I don't really think I have to talk about this too much. Obviously, Nebraska is going to beat South Alabama. There's no reason they shouldn't. So they are now on the road for the first time this season against Colorado, a Pac-12 and Big Ten matchup. So that's kind of an interesting game because Colorado I don't think is anything special. I think they're a very mediocre team. It is on the road, so that does make things a little bit interesting, and it's on Fox. So this might actually be a televised game for some reason. I don't get why it's a televised game. But hey, I mean, it's on Fox, so maybe it might be it says right here it's on Fox, so maybe this is going to be a big-time game, and the pressure could get to a pretty young Nebraska team. But I am going to place my money on Nebraska getting the win over Colorado. So the very next week, they face Northern Illinois. I don't really think I have to talk about this too much. I think they're going to be victorious over Northern Illinois. So they go from one Illinois team to the other as they are now on the road against Illinois. Illinois, I don't really know what they are. I don't really follow them. I don't really know anything about them. All I know is that they're just kind of an average team, far below Nebraska. Illinois, their ceiling is probably 7-5, 8-4, maybe if everything falls into place. They're just not a very good team. They're not invested in football. That's the way it is. They're a basketball school. That's just it. So Nebraska, I think, is going to get the win. So in the biggest game of the year, Nebraska is at home against Ohio State. I'm not a big believer in Ohio State. I still think they're going to be decent this year, probably a top 10 team, but I don't think they're going to be a top 5 team. I just can't buy into Ryan Day and Justin Fields all at once. I need to see some results, and I haven't seen it yet because they have not started playing yet. I don't know if they're going to be better or worse. I would obviously think that they're going to be worse because Dwayne Haskins was a top 15 pick, and Urban Meyer is a top 10 coach of all time. Despite the fact that I can't stand him, he is a great coach, and I can't deny that. So I am going to give Nebraska the loss here. I think it'll be a pretty close game. I think Nebraska will take them to their limits. Nebraska's going to bring their A game. I think Ohio State's also going to bring their A game. I think Nebraska's going to shock the world and compete for 3 quarters, and then Ohio State might distance themselves in the 4th, escaping with the win over Nebraska. So Nebraska rebounds against Northwestern. They faced the 2 teams that were in the Big Ten Championship last year in back-to-back weeks at home. I think Northwestern will be a decent team this year, not anything too special. I think Nebraska is clearly better. Northwestern caught a lucky break by getting into the Big Ten Championship last year. The Big Ten West was absolutely terrible. Their only competition was Iowa. I think that's all you really need to know about the Big Ten West. So I'm going to give Nebraska the win as they rebound off of a rough loss against Ohio State. So they're now on the road against Minnesota. Minnesota's kind of like Illinois. They're not invested in football much. I don't know much about them. They're just, again, 7-5, 8-4 is probably their ceiling. They struggle to make a bowl game every year. I don't think Minnesota really has much of a chance against Nebraska. Nebraska gets the W. So Nebraska heads back home to face Indiana. Again, Indiana is much like Minnesota and Illinois. They're not invested in football. There's a lot of Big Ten teams that aren't invested in football. I mean, you look at the schools that are really actually invested in football. You have, Wisconsin to a degree, Nebraska. Mostly the West doesn't have many teams invested. Really, the only 3 teams that are hugely invested are Penn State, Michigan, and Ohio State, and they're both on the East, not the West. So That's unfortunate for them. I'm trying to remember if the Big Ten has North and South or East and West. I'm pretty sure they have East and West, I think. I remember at some time it was called Legends and Leaders or something like that, but I'm pretty sure they changed it. That aside, I do think Nebraska is going to get the win against Indiana. Indiana's just not invested like Nebraska is. So Nebraska heads on the road against Purdue before they face Wisconsin. Purdue, I think, was a one-hit wonder last year. They were extremely overrated last year. Yes, they beat Ohio State when Ohio State brought their D-plus game. It was a fluke victory, let's be honest here. Sorry, Purdue fans, but you got crushed by Auburn in the Music City Bowl. You're not going to be anything special this year, certainly. Nebraska, I have a lot of faith in. Purdue, not so much. Nebraska gets the win. So Nebraska heads back home to face Wisconsin. These are two kind of interesting teams. I don't know why, but I always kind of drew a connection, probably just because one had an N and one had a W as a logo. It wasn't anything like huge that I drew a connection with them for. Wisconsin, I think, is going to be about 7-5, 8-4. They're not going to be anything special, in my opinion. They had those 2 or 3 years where they were really good, and they're kind of rebuilding right now. They're kind of in a little bit of a minor rebuild. Nebraska's surging. Wisconsin's just kind of staying still and trying to get back to where they were. I think Nebraska's going to get the win. So, against Maryland. This is a game that I think Nebraska will lose. Now, hear me out here. I know what you're saying. Well, Maryland, they suck, and they do suck. I'm not denying that. But the thing with Maryland in this game is that Nebraska, this is a sandwich game between Iowa and Wisconsin. Two pretty decent teams in the Big Ten. Maryland, they're not going to be taking them seriously. And that's why I think this is a possibility for Maryland to beat them. I think Maryland's offense is going to come out and just run the ball and pass all over this Nebraska defense. I think they're going to catch them reeling. Maryland gets the upset victory. So as Nebraska heads into the last week, they're at home against Iowa. I think the winner of this game probably wins the West or whatever it's called, wins Nebraska's division. I think Iowa might have just enough wins to compete with them at this point probably. So who do I have, Nebraska or Iowa? I'm going to give Nebraska the win here. They're at home. They have so much to play for in this game. Iowa's just kind of an overrated team. They're nothing special. They're top 25 material. They're not top 15 or top 20. They're a decent to good team at some times. They're just a solid team. Nebraska, I think, is zooming past them. Iowa's just kind of stayed at the same spot of sometimes being in the top 20. They're just they're between the 25 and 30 mark or 20 and 30 mark, and they've been there and they will probably stay to be there. Iowa fans are usually fine with 8-4, 9-3 on occasion. They're just a solid team. Nebraska, I think, is going up. Iowa's staying still. Nebraska gets the W, ending off the year a 10-win team and heading to the Big Ten Championship. So even though Nebraska makes the Big Ten Championship, do I think they're going to beat either Michigan or Ohio State? No, I don't think they're quite at the level of Michigan and Ohio State. They're top 10 teams. Nebraska's top 20 right now. They're around 17 or 18 in my poll. They're just not quite there. But they did reach 10-2. They may make a New Year's Six bowl. They're going to make something like an Outback Bowl. They're going to make a pretty good bowl game. So what do you Nebraska fans think, or what do you college football fans think? Do you think I'm buying in too much or not enough? Sorry, there's a big thunderstorm going on. If you guys just heard that, that's just unfortunate. I'm not going to be able to go to sleep for a while, so I just figured, hey, it's about midnight right now, and I figured, hey, might as well film a video on my free time. So do you guys think I'm buying in too much or not quite enough on Nebraska? I really don't know what you Nebraska fans think and what the rest of the college football fan base think. I think I'm buying in the right amount and not going ridiculous like college football playoff, but I think they're going to be, a top 20 team with their easy schedule. I think they should be able to take advantage of it, reach a 10-win team, reach the Big Ten Championship. I don't think they're at the level of Michigan or Ohio State. I think this is a good second-year benchmark for Nebraska, and maybe this time next year, we may be talking about a college football team on our hands. That's a lot of praise, but with what Scott Frost has done in his time at UCF and his ending of the first year at Nebraska, I see only positives in the future of the Cornhuskers. So I hope you guys So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. A lot of content coming your way. My mock draft for the 2020 NFL season is coming soon. The NFL draft. I'm going to be working on that over the next couple days. Again, posting every day. I'm really going to try to grind before school picks up again. I will still be uploading maybe just every other day, or certainly not as frequently, like 2 days, or like one video or 2 videos per one day as I do now. Once Madden comes out, I'm going to be grinding a lot on Madden. You guys are going to see a lot of Madden rebuilds on this channel. Wow, that was a lot. I'm going to go ahead and end this video for the mic just gets blown up. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Fanatic family, and peace.